going to be going through Tuesday's NBA slate. Look, last night I didn't even listen to myself fully. I said the shit that we were talking on our live thing, which again I really think it's important to be there for live, and I really think it's important to be there for Discord. I said the Otto Porter I'm only going to have if Barrett is out, so I can cram in Knicks with the other spend ups that I like, which is what I did on DraftKings. But I was on FanDuel. I went the other way and I said, F this Otto Porter thing. I'm going to play my two cheap small forwards as Koulibaly and Torrey Craig. And that seemed to be that was the right combination. I had Vooch as my center. So I just missed winning over there, finished third. Would have been really nice if I played anyone but Dennis Schroeder in that lineup, or literally I could have done a million different things and played any person, and I would have won the lottery and the monster. So we're on the right page there. Also, by the way, the actual nuts nearly were 4 running backs in football, and so I won in every football lineup basically. That was significant, all my big buy-ins and everything. So I had a good night. It's not $1 million like we were hoping for on Sunday, but hey, just keep grinding away. We're going to try and do the best we can and keep trying to improve it. We got a nice 10 gamer today, and I got to take a look at the full schedule. But the NBA, I think we're going to see more of these Tuesday games, less of the Monday games, and the Tuesday, Friday, of course, as a reminder, is the in-season tournament games. So, with that said, Sheets, any thoughts about last night or anything before you want to jump right in?
Yeah, I had a couple of things. First of all, pretty good result in my survivor pool again. There were some stray people at Buffalo last night, so they went down.
Oh, nice.
So the big pool where we have 80, it started at 8,200 people. It's down to like 160, and it's like doubles every week, and it's like it's getting really nasty out there. So this is it'll be fun.
That's awesome.
Also, there's another thing about that football game that I forgot. I don't remember.
How about I call Denver?
Yeah.
Right there.
And then the basketball didn't go so well for me, except like if you did it. So I did a video again, but I think before we went on yesterday, where again I just went through my sheets, I went through my process or whatever it is, just to give people an early look. And if you guys paid attention to that one, we were basically locked in with Siakam and Vooch, and then the rest figure out.
Right.
But listen, and then all the news came, and this, and all this crap. I end up with freaking DeSomno and whatever it is. So anyway, ready to get after a very, very big slate today, and already again like content theorem 106. The most pressing injury news always drops as soon as you hit upload on your projection files. So literally, as I hit upload, Trae Young was ruled out. So there you go.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. It's brutal.
Yeah. So I'm getting it. I'll be getting to that one later. I'm not doing all that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
But obviously, that's the most important news on the slate. But and we'll deal with it a little bit. But my projections won't have anything up there on that.
Sure. But yes. Okay. Here we go. So let's get into the Miami. What's Miami at Charlotte here? Do you want to start off, or do you let's keep it going. It's been going good with you starting off. Do you want to do that?
Yeah. Whatever works.
Yeah.
I instinctively, I really don't have too much here. Bam at 9K looks like the best, but really not a lot at all. I'm kind of scrolling down here again in the name of making a large slate small. I'm kind of inclined to pass on this game. I had been getting to Charlotte, but I guess the prices have just gotten a little bit too high. And the matchup has gotten a lot worse for Charlotte. So I'm probably off of this game.
Yeah, with no Tyler Hero, I think that you could argue for both Bam or Butler. It's a really good matchup for them. And I don't think 50 plus is at all out of the question for both those guys. I don't even think it's that big of a deal to play them together, except for the slate's so big. I actually do like those guys. I don't have a run back that I like, but I will probably get a little bit of exposure to Bam and Butler. We'll see how they rank versus other stuff later on. But I do like the matchup, and without Hero, it's kind of hard to ignore that they're pretty solid against a team like Charlotte. All right, Indy and Philly.
Yeah, I'll start. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 basketball games. So that's 20 teams. So we probably have like 200 players that we can play. And according to what I'm seeing here, 60% of the people are going to be playing Robert Covington. So we have to figure out why. So I guess with somebody out, he's going to probably be starting at 3,400, power forward and forward eligible. I have a 21-point projection at 6x and a 60% ownership projection. I don't want to get too into it, but I just can't see me doing that. But listen, obviously it looks like a solid play. I don't know, on a 100-game slate, playing a 60% on Robert Covington. But I'll let you talk about that. What I wouldn't mind doing is play Joel Embiid. That I don't mind. I mean, I think he's pretty good. And then other guys on Philly, DeAnthony Melton, Tobias Harris. So all these Philly guys look good. Why do I have to play the chalkiest one? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. On the Indiana side, again, this is one of those things where you're going to see Halliburton not project all that well. But if you're going to play these Philly guys, you may as well run it back with somebody. So I would probably play Halliburton, even though he looks expensive, even though the matchup is whatever. He could put up 60 or 70 if he feels like it, if things go his way. And the guy who's actually projecting decently is the Benedict Arnold, whatever, the Matherin, at 5,400. So for me, it's going to be in game stacks, Halliburton with, maybe Matherin with some of those cheap Philly guys. But I don't know. I mean, do I really have to play Covington? You tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So I don't think you have to. They don't have Oubre. They don't have Batum. We don't even know for sure that Covington's starting. He still hasn't played more than 15 minutes for them. I mean, I guess if you're asking like right now, my stance would definitely be below the field on him. But I think all of these other plays are really good, and the one that will get played the least in this in an incredible matchup. Do people realize what's happening with Tyrese Maxey? Do I have to keep shouting it? Like, this is not a joke. This guy is legitimately he's averaging 52.5 fantasy points per game. It's the best matchup in basketball. And I honestly think that like this guy, like he's been he's one of the best 10 players in the NBA this season. I don't think it's even questionable. Like, it's really incredible how good he's been. And I think it's real. I've said this before the season. I thought he was too cheap to start the season at 7,500 or whatever he was. I think he's too cheap now. So I am going to prioritize. You do have Embiid questionable, by the way, which is going to make Maxey incredibly chalky if Embiid is somehow out. And this whole game will go a little wild chalk wise. But I have all of these guys as really good plays, but Maxey or Embiid being the priority for me. We'll see later about Covington. If you're not going to play it, the guys like D'Anthony Melton, great matchup. I mean, these guys are in a really good spot. And like you said, if you want to run it back, look, I mean, he's not going to project well. It's not an ideal matchup. It's better than people think it is as a matchup. But I think all of Halliburton, Matherin, and Turner. So maybe a nice little possibility for a game stack for this one, because if somehow Embiid's out, we're obviously going to get to Philly anyway. I still don't think people are going to get to Indiana. But what's going to happen is Embiid plays the third slowest pace in the NBA of any player. And I think if you take him out of there, Maxey just running and gunning with Halliburton on the other side just feels like a good thing to do. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of into this one. Why is it amazing the Sixers are winning and Clippers are losing? I think that's just totally predictable, exactly what's happening. I don't think there's anybody who really doesn't see that as being pretty predictable. Anyway, all right, we jump over to another one that's going to be just loaded with chalk. Sheets, why don't you let us know what you're planning? I know you don't have your projections up.
No, I mean, listen, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. So Dejounte Murray at 8,300 is going to be extremely strong play with Trae Young out. I imagine that Bogdan Bogdanovic is going to be.
Why is DeAndre Hunter a really good?
No, Dejounte Murray.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you said
right. Okay.
Yeah,
DeJounte Murray, very, very strong play. I imagine Bogdan Bogdanovic is going to be a very, very strong play. And then we just kind of go from there, I guess. I don't know who's going to put in the starting lineup. I don't think it really matters too much. You know what I mean? Like DeJounte Murray, it's going to be his basketball. So I think it's obviously you want to start with that, play Bogdan Bogdanovic, and then other guys. I guess Jalen Johnson is going to probably going to pick up. I'd imagine pick up usage. I'm not even sure. And then there's Capella and Okongwu. Like listen, with Trae Young out, obviously usage is going elsewhere. Wonder if how about can we do a little Sadiq Bey revenge? Maybe is that accurate? Like going back to Detroit. Forget if you can play. Is that accurate? He played in Detroit, right? I don't know.
He's 100% in play, in my opinion.
Oh, great.
So, yeah,
Okay, so we'll play him. And DeAndre Hunter, I mean, he's always like this kind of the same type of play. I don't know even what with Trae Young out even helps him if you want to know the truth. And then on the other side of it, I mean, you have I guess Osara Thompson at 7,100. Ooh, boy, that seems like a lot. Cade Cunningham at 8K. I mean, listen, if you're going to play these Atlanta guys, you could make a game stack out of this. And what's his name is out. Durant is out, so you could play Isaiah Stewart at power forward eligible at 5,700. I guess Bagley's going to be in play as well. Kevin Knox played minutes. I'm just looking at guys. He played 25 minutes in this last game. He was 7 for 8, 4 for 5 from 3. So, yeah, I'm not surprised they kept him in. But yeah, I mean, this is like a value inspired game stack, I guess.
Yeah, agreed. I actually think that all of Detroit's players are being slightly weirdly projected early in the day for whatever reason. I am good with everyone in the starting lineup on both sides. I know that sounds kind of but I think this game is it's probably the game to target now. I'll probably bet the under on it, but I love DeJounte. I mean, the priorities would be DeJounte, Bogdanovich to start off with. Everybody else is in play, but nobody else that I would have as a core play kind of a thing. And I really like on the other side, I think it's weird that these other guys aren't projected better. Alec Burks will be back, but we still don't have, what's his name? Burks played 20 minutes in the last game for what it's worth. We still don't have, actually, I don't know. They're going to play Ivy a little bit, they're barely playing Ivy. I don't really know what they're doing with their guards, so it's kind of confusing me. The only thing I know for sure that they're doing with their guards is Cade Cunningham is going to play, and he's going to play minutes. I think he's an interesting run back. Isaiah Stewart one of Isaiah Stewart or Bagley. I think that's the way I would look at it on the other side. I'm shocked it's an overcorrection in my opinion what the sites are doing with the projections on Stewart and Bagley, because even if Bagley doesn't get that means they're putting Stewart at the 5 more, or in this matchup where they let Wiseman get some run, it's going to be kind of tricky to figure out. But overall, early look, this is a game that I think that you're trying to stack, and I think that it becomes a massive priority on this slate as far as early looks goes. I think that this is the priority game. So. Well, I'll fine tune some of my players later because there's just so many. It's really everybody in this game that I'm interested in. Okay, now we get are you there? Yeah, we can. Oh no, you're not there.
No.
Here, okay. Start off Orlando, Brooklyn.
I'm getting a projection on Cameron Johnson. But nothing. Actually, he looks pretty good, and he's actually getting owned quite a bit too. So Cam Johnson at 5,400, looking like the best overall play. Maybe interested in the center. Was that Claxton? On Orlando, doesn't look like anybody looks that great. I guess they're healthy or whatever it is, and want to play Banchero at 8K at 5%. I don't know, maybe. Just seems as though they're with that Atlanta value opening up and the Philly value whatever we end up doing over there. I mean, I don't know if this game is that important to get to, but Cam Johnson looks like the best play for me in this game.
Yeah, I have Orlando as a big question mark because look, there is no Markelle Fultz. We should try to do something, you'd think, but they have a lot of bodies. I think Paolo's a fine play. I think Franz is a fine play. I think Jalen Suggs is probably my favorite play on that side. I think it's probably, you could consider taking some Anthony Black shots or Cole Anthony. All of these guys are in play. And I think, honestly, the Gary Harris coming back is probably killing a little bit of their projection. But we don't even know for sure that he's back. So they might look like really good plays by the end of the day if Gary Harris is out again. On the Brooklyn side, Claxton's a guy who I like a lot, but sometimes I feel like he just gets this weird projection where I'm not sure I totally agree. He was amazing against Washington the other day in 28 minutes. I think he probably plays in that 28-minute range again. It's not necessarily a great matchup, but he's 6,200, so I mean, it's got to be on the list. Cam Johnson's got to be on the. I mean, he looks like a really good play. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the projection, but I don't think it's like that far off. And it's a little weird though to see a guy who hasn't scored more than 26 fantasy points being projected at 30, even though he hasn't played that many games yet. So that's a little weird. I mean, we still don't have the Cam Thomas or Ben Simmons here, so you kind of think you'd want to do something. Other than Claxton or Johnson, who don't really run the offense. My friends were just at the Brooklyn game the other night. They're just talking about it's really weird to watch a team that there's no idea. You have no idea who's going to have the ball or create a shot for each possession. It's a different guy, and that's a little bit how I feel about this Brooklyn situation. I will probably do a really fishy thing and take a very weird shot at Dennis Smith Jr. again. I don't know that I'm going to, but I'm certainly open to it. He put up 30. Last time I did it, he put up 30 or 28. Probably a little thin for this slate, but just this whole game feels like a big question mark to me, and certainly feels like an under at the top at first look. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot of stuff and nothing that sort of stands out, which is kind of strange because they are missing some really key pieces.
For what it's worth, and on a slate like this, probably not much. It's not exactly the same as Madison Square Garden, but Cole Anthony's coming back to New York to play here. He always likes to do that.
Okay.
But he's not particularly cheap, and the slate is not particularly suited for it. So just figured I would just throw that in there. If you have 5,700,
I can buy into that one though a little bit.
If you have 5,700 left and everything else is chalk, maybe take a shot with
that. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. All right, now you've got San Antonio. Okay, so we've
got a couple of Harlem Globetrotter games out there tonight.
The rookie of the year battle, though. This is it. This is the two rookie of the years and the two guys who will be in the top 15 players in like a year.
The rookie of the year on Oklahoma City would be the Holmgren. Okay, and the San Antonio is the Wembanyama, and I mean all that certainly makes sense. And I kind of like Shea, as the not necessarily not the rookie of the year anymore, but maybe gunning for top 5 MVP in votes. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. But I like him. This whole game is supposed to just go bananas. But it's really funny. I'm looking at my sheets here on the other page, and we talk about this a lot. And you told me about this literally the first day I ever played NBA DFS. But of my top 10 point per dollar plays, eight of them are center eligible. How funny is that? That doesn't include like the new Atlanta guys, right? They'll be in there too. But so it was funny because I was looking at, oh wow, Zach Collins is pretty good. But there's like 100 centers that you could play. Anyway, I like Collins, I guess, but I don't know. I think this game can go a little off. I think you could play the Wembanyama. I think you could play the Shea. You want to play Chet Holmgren? Yeah, maybe you play the two rookies and let it roll. But it's certainly a big total game. What is Wembanyama? I forget what his price is. He's like 7% owned. I don't know. This game could go kind of ballistic.
I'm with you.
I'm kind of into this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what I always do, and that's I'm gonna be overweight on Wemby and Chet pretty much any time, especially when they're facing each other in a lightning quick game. I'm totally in. We have 3 Spurs questionable. Now, the only way, this in-season tournament thing is kind of weird, but it is interesting to see what Pop does with it, because he does take weird stands sometimes. If he just decided to randomly sit Keldon, not randomly, these guys have all been out at different points. If he sat Keldon Johnson, Sohan, and Trey Jones, then this is the best game on the slate. Well, the best side of it would be San Antonio. Actually, probably. Even still, they somehow always seem to find enough guys. I think that Devin Vassell, outside of Wembanyama and Chet, I think Devin Vassell is an interesting play. I think that Zach Collins is interesting. I think Keldon Johnson's interesting if he plays. And then I think Shea would probably be the most likely guy I'd use from OKC. There's a lot of chatter about Josh Giddey. The OKC has been basically awesome when Giddey is not playing with Shea. They've also been good without Shea with Giddey. They're kind of having trouble. The word is that they're kind of having trouble figuring it out together. Cason Wallace also has been really good for them, so he's getting minutes as a rookie. I don't know what to take of that, and just as it relates to today. All I can say is I think Shea, Jalen Williams, Chet are my three favorites on OKC, and Wemby, Vassell, and then Zach Collins would be my current guys for San Antonio. But like you said, this game could shoot out. Might be something we want to do some business with later on today.
I'll tell you another game that could shoot out. So another Harlem Globetrotters team that you identified before anybody else. I mean, who's more Harlem Globetrotters now than the Mavericks?
Absolutely.
Like every one of their games is like a 400 total. It's like obscene. So let's take a look at that. I mean, Brandon Ingram for New Orleans. Boy, it seems like kind of filthy but Zion at 8,500. Hawkins is now up to a kind of a sick price, but Ingram at 8,400, that certainly looks good. And then on the Dallas side, if more, I guess with more value over maybe you can get to Luka if you want, maybe. So he's not bad. Earlier, I was looking at people were talking about Tim Hardaway Jr.'s. I don't know. I don't see that. So for me, I don't know. I mean, I hate playing Brandon Ingram. He just never seems to do it for me. But I don't know. This is such a pace up. I mean, anybody who's playing Dallas is in a pace up matchup now. So maybe you do something with this. But nobody projects particularly well. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not really sure what the Pelicans were doing in the last game when they played this matchup. Joe Val put up 39 fantasy points in 21 minutes.
Oh,
Zion played 27 minutes, a season low. I don't really know why, because it was somewhat of a close game. I think it must have blown out and then gotten close. I have to double check the spread and double check the way that it happened. But Brandon Ingram even played 31 minutes only. We just saw the matchup. Now it's in New Orleans. Both these teams can play fast, although I think New Orleans doesn't play nearly as fast when they don't have McCollum there. So I'm sort of struggling with it too. I actually think the right thing to do is to ignore the recency bias in the game log and just play Zion or Ingram or something like that. I think you put this kind of a matchup out there without your whatever, call him your 1, 2, or 3 offensive player, whatever you want to call McCollum for them. It sort of changes by the day. And Larry Nance is out, and obviously no Trey Murphy this year. And you've got Herb Jones questionable, who even if he plays is a little banged up. Can we take that shot on Jordan Hawkins? Certainly if Herb Jones is out, we can. Probably not worth it otherwise. I think you want to stick to one of Ingram, Valanciunas, or Zion. And then on the Dallas side, I don't really love anything. I think it's maybe time to price and force Kyrie in a good matchup. So that's the one that I've come up with the most, and he's proven it. I mean, he's starting to put up. You look at his games lately; he's really picked it up, and the scores are out of control. I mean, he put up 58 and 29 the other day against this team. I think we can go ahead and say Kyrie is borderline a priority, especially because everyone's going to play DeJounte. So maybe if you fade DeJounte, you play Kyrie, or maybe you try to find a way to play them together. All right. This is a tough slate.
Sure is.
There's been some other big slates we've had where there's been hardly anything to like, and this one's just got nothing but things to like. Okay. That's what it was. They were up 24 going into the fourth. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate that, because I needed to run and double check that score. It's hard to keep up with every game. That makes a little bit of sense for the way New Orleans played it, which actually makes me. I think I might end up prioritizing one of Zion or Ingram and then Kyrie on the other side if we can get enough value today. Okay. You have Denver next?
Yeah, Denver, LAC. So again, my projections are old because they don't have the Atlanta guys in, but I mentioned that of the top 10 point per dollar plays, 8 of them were center eligibles. One of them that was Cam Johnson. The other was Michael Porter Jr. So I had Michael Porter Jr. as a very, very strong point per dollar play early in the day. And I also have him at 30% ownership, and all that's probably changing because of the Atlanta stuff. But nonetheless, he certainly rates to be a pretty strong play with Jamal Murray continuing to be out. So I do like him. It's hard for me to say I don't like Jokic in general, but 12-2 is a lot. That's the best I can describe that. So I think Porter Jr. is my priority from this game. and I'm really not getting much from LAC, including, oh my boy, what a world, right? James Harden is 7,800 or something like that. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but Michael Porter Jr. certainly looks good at this early juncture.
Yeah, I can't quite do the Clipper thing on this kind of a slate. I want to point out that I think it's very strange that Vegas has this as a 4-point spread. I don't understand it. The Clippers have shown no sign to even barely stay in games. I really don't understand why Denver at home wouldn't be like double-digit favorites here. It's shocking to me. It makes me feel like I'm missing something. I know Murray's out, but he's been out. Doesn't stop them at all. I mean, it slows them down a little bit maybe, but like it doesn't quite make sense to me. It almost makes me feel like there's something I'm missing.
I think it's still name value with these guys that are on the Clippers.
If it's name value, then we should be betting the house against them every time because all they've done is gotten pummeled by everybody. And they're without Harden on the court, they're an above average team. With Harden on the court, which they're going to keep playing him, they're the worst team in basketball by a long shot. It's not even close. So it's just statistically right now. So I like Michael Porter Jr. I'm kind of irritated at the idea of playing him at high ownership, to be honest with you, because I was on this all season and I've been saying Michael Porter Jr.'s name when he's like 3% owned in the same kind of spot. And to play him at high ownership here feels a little fishy because I do think he still has a range of outcomes. I think he's pretty safe to get to that 35 range and then with some upside. But we haven't really seen that giant explosion from him yet. And okay, say what you will about Kawhi and Paul George. It's not like these guys have become terrible defenders all of a sudden. So I don't necessarily love the matchup. I think the right play in this game is just simply Jokic. I think he's the best. If I had to pick between he and Luka, I would pick Jokic. I don't know why we're not playing a guy who just puts up like 75 every night. I think that he is the priority from this game. I do like some MPJ, but I'm going to have you. And look, I've talked about a lot of good spend ups, including Embiid and things like that. I think Jokic is the best spend all the way up of all those guys, personally. All right, Minnesota, Golden State.
Well, I guess the most important thing to mention is that they're showing Steph Curry as being questionable. So
pretty important.
If he is in fact out, then there's obviously going to be stuff to do. Aside from that, I don't know. I mean, once again, I guess Naz Reid always looks sort of cheap at power forward at 4,700. But aside from that, I don't really have too much in this game.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb here and say that Anthony Edwards is another one of these guys. And this is what's going to stop me from playing Jokic. Anthony Edwards is my favorite of the other guys that I mentioned. We talked a little bit about Wemby and Zion and Kyrie. I like all those guys a lot. I think Anthony Edwards is, as usual, being underprojected. The problem they have is they don't necessarily need him. I'm just going to read Anthony Edwards' game log and tell me why he's projected for 41 fantasy points against a terrible defensive team so far. 50, 61, 51, 49, 53. Those are his last games. In those games, he is shooting below average from the field. His last 3 games, he hasn't, he was 11 for 27 in his last game. He had 1 good shooting night against Boston. I think this is like the easiest play on the slate, and he doesn't take up a center spot. I think Anthony Edwards at low ownership, sign me up. I want to do this every day, Sheets. Until he's 10K, I just think you have to play Anthony Edwards, especially in plus matchups. And this is certainly a plus matchups because they are not going to be able to put Draymond Green on him with both Towns and Gobert in there. So I really like Anthony Edwards as a play. I could care less what the projections say. Why he's being projected for 41, I don't care who's doing these. I don't care. Anything below 45 as a median projection for him is just flawed unless you have some like blowout risk. It's just a mistake. I think he gets over 50 again tonight. So I love Anthony Edwards, and I am not getting to anything on Golden State. If I did, it would be just take a shot on Curry and hope that he has one of those days against the best defense in the NBA. I don't think this is the right slate to do that on.
I hate to be all boring and stuff, but I don't really have too much in Memphis, LA. I mean,
oh, it's fine to be boring, man. We've talked about a lot of stuff.
Unless one of these dudes are out, which is always possible. I just assume stay away from that. So, I mean, you got anything there?
In a similar vein to what I was saying about Edwards, to a lesser degree, is true about Bane as well. Unfortunately, he's also only got our guard eligibility. I think he has the same ceiling-ish as Edwards with the current situation, but I'm not sure that I want to play him over Edwards. So I would say Bane is the most interesting to me. And I would have no issue with. I mean, remember, there's bad blood between these teams, but it has more to do with Dylan Brooks than it does any of the guys who are actually going to be playing.
Pretty funny.
So, and by the way, we saw a little bit of that LeBron the other night when he goes to face KD in Phoenix. He looked like a little bit like the old LeBron, really trying to take over. Yeah, I have no issue with LeBron or AD. Just so many other plays on this slate, hard to prioritize either of them. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. But yeah, for my priorities, the Atlanta-Detroit game is still going to be hard for me to get away from. The Anthony Edwards, Zion, or Ingram, I think are interesting plays. Edwards, I would put ahead of those guys. Kyrie, I would put just barely ahead of Zion, the Zion Ingram idea. But Edwards is right there with me with the DeJounte Murray, Bogdanovich, sort of core. The value, I'm just going to encourage that we wait till later today to really get into it.
I hate to say something, by the way, before we wrap up. We did miss a game.
What did we miss?
We missed
Portland, Utah. Oh yeah. That actually could be something.
Yeah. So I only mention it because I'm in the process of updating some projections, and I'm seeing like an ownership projection of like 30 on one side at least of 33% for Jordan Clarkson. So I'm trying to think of where that's coming from. Is somebody?
He's been really good lately, but there's still down bodies in the backcourt, but it's 35%. I don't think you need to do that.
Yeah, I know. When I see that, I was wondering if somebody is going to be out or something like that, and that's what's causing it. But
he's putting up like. He's projected for 30, 33 or whatever, 34, depending on where you look, 6,500. He's been awesome in this current situation. I'll tell you what, I think everybody in this game is in play and no one do I want to prioritize. It's pretty wild to see Skylar Mays. Here we are a week later, he's goes from 3,500 and now he's 6,700 and actually projecting really well. You've got some of the names for these Portland guys. I mean, why is Portland okay?
Well, I would imagine Jeremy Grant would be the most obvious play. No, I mean,
why?
I don't know. He always seems to shoot. I mean, I don't know.
He always pops on projections. He literally is a guy who historically gets there like as little as anyone. He doesn't do anything but score. He had the one crazy game where he scored that. He had the 63 fantasy point game, but every other game it's not like he's really going crazy. And I have some concerns about this game staying close. I know Utah is not great, but Portland is much worse.
Somebody's got to be out because I'm telling you, I just read another thing. I'm getting Ayton, like a good number now.
No, but everybody's out for Portland. We already know that. There's no Brogdon. There's no.
Okay.
There hasn't been though. Okay. There's no Brogdon. There's no, and those guys are all priced as if that's the case.
Okay.
It's just been the Skylar Mays show lately, and. All of these guys are good plays. I think this game is it's a game you could stack, and it's also a game that you could completely avoid. And on this slate, I probably am leaning a little bit more on the side of avoiding it. I really think it's weird that Utah's favored only by six. I just think anytime Portland's not favored by near double digits, it surprises me.
You mean an underdog?
Yeah, I just think that Portland should be, I think Portland should always be almost 10-point underdogs, if not more. Yeah, a lot of potential plays in this game. Nobody who I have is a priority yet, but this is it is an interesting game to revisit. So it's one of those slates where everybody's going to be saying, "Oh my God, so and so at this ownership," or "Oh my God, so and so at this ownership," because there's just too many good plays. Where some of the other big slates we've had, they've done some really tight pricing, and we haven't had enough injuries, so we haven't been able to get to those. The real question of the day is going to become: is there anything else that opens up value better than Robert Covington? And I think the answer is probably yes.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. So if you can find a way to get that extra value, then we can get more into the Embiid, the Jokic's, I mentioned Tyrese Maxey. I think that's more my initial look. I like that 8K to 9,200 range. All those guys look really good to me and have similar ceilings to the guys priced 2K above them. So that's my initial look of what to do. But you're definitely going to want some of that Atlanta, Detroit, that's where the slate starts for me. All right. So we'll be live with you at 6 Eastern. Should be a fun one, a big slate tonight. And, hopefully we can make some money. Sheets, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, sounds good.
All right, good luck, everybody, and make sure if you are a subscriber, that you're in the premium Discord, because we've been nailing it with some of the plays after lock. So want to keep that going. Anyway, good luck to everyone, and we'll see you guys at